Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. All off-season long, I've been talking about how excited I am to watch some Pac-12 football. How I've been saying this might be the most entertaining conference in all of college football heading into 2023. And sure, the conference may be in a state of disarray right now with all of the realignment going on and their inability to land a media rights deal, but we'll forget about that. We'll put that on the back burner because this conference is loaded with talent and really, to me, is truly wide open when it comes to some of the elite contenders within the conference. Today, guys, we're going to take a look at the projected win totals for every single Pac-12 team, sharing our thoughts on each team as we get ready for this upcoming season and we get ready for our Gridiron Expert predictions kicking off in just a few weeks. So welcome back, guys, to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad that you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, where we have some exclusive content there for you guys, because here at the channel, here at the Gridiron Expert, college football never dies. The season never ends, and we want you to become part of our GE Nation. Take advantage of the 24/7 nonstop college football content that we provide for you every single day. So let's take a look at these Pac-12 win totals, guys. Again, brought to you by DraftKings, not our numbers. Those will come out, again, in a few weeks. But up at the top, it's your typical suspects, as you would expect. Oregon and USC leading the way with a projected 9.5 wins. And we'll start with Oregon here with 9.5. Obviously a team that's loaded with talent, a team that was in the college football playoff hunt for the majority of last year. The Bruins that lost to Washington that did them in and kind of kicked them out of that contention. Bo Nix, though, returning, a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate with the Ducks, has a new offensive coordinator as well, as Kenny Dillingham left to become the head coach at Arizona State. But the thing that's interesting to me, guys, is Oregon has a brutal schedule, a really, really tough schedule entering 2023 that 9.5 almost seems a little bit high. I mean, this is going to be a good team. Anything less than maybe a 10-win season or a Pac-12 title would be disappointing, but road games at Texas Tech, Washington, and Utah, along with a home game against USC and Oregon State. I mean, Oregon's got a brutal schedule, guys, and basically you're saying if you're taking the over, you think Oregon's only going to lose 2 games in the regular season. And that's going to be a pretty tall task. Not predicting anything, but it's going to be a tough year for Dan Lanning and the Ducks. USC, on the other hand, they're a team that's sitting at 9.5. That some could consider that to be a low. A team that was 1 win away from making the college football playoff last year, made the Pac-12 championship, returns Caleb Williams. The offense is going to be just as good, if not better, than they were last year. The Trojans have a pretty favorable schedule. Handful of tough games, though, including a road game at Notre Dame, road game at Oregon, as we mentioned. But you look at some of the other games. They host Utah. They host Washington. They host UCLA. So some of their toughest tests have to come to the Coliseum, which is a huge benefit for Lincoln Riley and his squad. So USC at 9.5, some would say that'd be pretty low for them. And even a 10-win season could be disappointing for them because for the Trojans right now, it's playoff or bust. Continuing on, Washington coming in at 9 wins, so right behind them. This is a Huskies team that I love. This is a team that I could see making the college football playoff this year, contending for a Pac-12 title in 2023. Michael Penix coming back at quarterback, Kalen DeBoer in his second year with the team. This Washington team isn't just the Michael Penix show. There's so much other talent surrounding this Huskies team and on this Huskies team that's going to make them a contender. 9 wins is their projection. Tough games at USC and at Oregon State while hosting Oregon, who they beat in Eugene last year, and hosting Utah as well. Pac-12, again, so tough, guys. I mean, about half the conference, you could say, are legitimate contenders. You're going to see a lot of people get upset, and you're going to see a lot of shakeups across the board. Right? Let's beat up on each other, and you would hate to see that if you're the Pac-12. You'd hate to see the conference beat up on each other and prevent one of these teams from making the playoff where the Pac-12 once again fails to get a representative into that Final Four. So it's kind of something to watch out for there. But the Huskies are a team that won 11 games last year, and I think could do it again in 2023. Continuing on, UCLA and Utah coming in at 8.5 wins each. UCLA is a team that's very interesting to me. Obviously had a good year last year, but they lose their star quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. So who's going to replace DTR at quarterback? I know we mentioned that in our quarterback battles video. Go back and take a look at that. Go take a look at our Pac-12 preview that we discussed just a few weeks ago. But UCLA, a team that certainly has turned the corner under Chip Kelly, but has 3 very, very tough road games at Utah, at Oregon State, at USC. Again, we're not here to project and predict these games, but if they were to lose all 3, if you wanted this over to hit on UCLA, they would have to win every other game on their schedule. and that's obviously going to be a very tall task. Those three are just arguably the toughest ones they're going to face. So interesting year for the Bruins as well. Utah, the reigning Pac-12 champions, also at 8.5 wins. Also a very tough schedule, and you're going to kind of know what this Utah team is made of within the first couple of weeks. Cam Rising returning, that's huge for them. The defense strong as always, but in their first couple of games, they play Florida at home, and then they travel to Baylor. So two good Power 5 opponents they're going to face in those first couple of weeks of the season. How Utah looks and fares in those games will kind of dictate, obviously, if they can hit the over on their win total, but also this is a Utah team that maybe could make the college football playoff after falling just a little bit short last year. In conference play, they do travel to Washington, USC, and Oregon State. So again, just an absolutely brutal road slate for the Utes, as is the case for some of these other teams that we had mentioned. Rounding out the legitimate contenders in the Pac-12 is Oregon State. So again, I feel like the conference is kind of divided in half. Oregon, USC, Washington, UCLA, Utah, and Oregon State, those six teams are your legitimate Pac-12 title contenders. The rest of the teams will play a role in determining who makes that championship game and who wins the conference, but probably are not viewed as legitimate contenders. But the Beavers bring in DJ Uiagalelei coming in from Clemson, so a huge quarterback, maybe upgrade, some would say, for the Beavers, a team that won 10 games last year and has a very good home slate. They host Utah, they host UCLA, they host Washington. They do travel to Oregon, but those three games that we mentioned prior to that at home, huge for an Oregon State team that thinks they can replicate another 10-win season and actually contend for a Pac-12 title. The defense should be stingy again. They want to run the ball extremely well, but DJ Uiagalelei could open up that pass game a little bit more than we've seen in years past. Jonathan Smith is building something in Corvallis. Do not sleep on the Beavers. Going forward, we have Washington State. Love this team a lot. Love what Jake Dicker's doing in Pullman. A disappointing ending to last year if you're Washington State, but still the projected win total, 6.5. And if you're a Cougar squad, you're not expected to win the Pac-12. You're not expected to contend with the elite, but you are expected to make bowl games. I think they can do just that, especially with the return of Cameron Ward at quarterback. After them is Arizona. Maybe a little bit of value with the Wildcats at 5.5. This is a team that very well could start the year 3-1, and then later in the year have a road game at Colorado and a road game at Arizona State. And right now, I would say maybe on paper, Arizona, especially from an experience standpoint, owns the edge over the Buffaloes and the Sun Devils, both of which are dealing with a first-year head coach. So Arizona could hold that advantage there, and if they do start 3-1, win those other two games, they're at 5 wins. You just need one other win for Arizona to hit that over and to make a bowl game under Jed Fish. And of course, former Washington State quarterback Jaden DeLora is going to be the one leading the charge for the Wildcats in 2023, just like he did last year, but should be even better this season. Arizona State, their rival, right behind them at 5 projected wins. New head coach in Kenny Dillingham, new quarterback in Drew Pine. Kind of an interesting quarterback battle going on right now with the Sun Devils. We're not exactly sure how that's going to pan out, but my gut leans Drew Pine just from all the experience that he brings in from Notre Dame. But Dillingham is a great young offensive mind. Obviously, great things with Bo Nix last year at Oregon, but can that translate to a successful season for an Arizona State program that kind of, to an extent, is still dealing with that aftermath of the Herm Edwards era and that whole scandal that went on there? So Arizona State, intriguing team. 5, honestly, to me, might feel a little bit high, might feel a little bit generous, but we'll have a pretty good idea of what the Sun Devils look like a few weeks into the year. California at 4.5. Obviously, they are struggling at the quarterback position. We broke that down in our Pac-12 quarterback rankings. This is the Cal team that 4.5 sounds about right, but would not be shocked if they hit the under. Would not be shocked if they won 4 games or less. This is a team that really doesn't have much of an identity right now and really hasn't been much of a contender in the Pac-12 over these last couple of years and desperately needs a lot of work. Colorado and Stanford rounding things out, both projected at 3 wins. It's funny to me. Colorado projected 3 wins in their over-under, and yet they have the 6th best odds to win the college football playoff. People, the 6th most amount of money, most bets, 6 most bets have been placed on Colorado to win the playoff. And it's a stupid idea, and it's a stupid notion that Deion Sanders is going to come in with all of these transfers and immediately make Colorado a Pac-12 title or college football playoff contender. It's just not happening. Clearly, a lot of people in Vegas don't believe that to be the case either, and they're just so thrilled that people are stupid enough to put down that much money on Colorado to go on this magical run in 2023. I think the Buffaloes will be more competitive in 2023. I think they will maybe win a handful more games than they did last year. I mean, 3 wins would be tripling the amount of wins they had last year, but they're not going to become immediate contenders in 2023. I'd be very shocked if that was the case. But 3 wins Sounds about right. More competitive, but hard to put the pieces together. Same goes for Stanford, a team that lost about 20 players to the transfer portal, another 7 or so to the NFL, a new head coach in Troy Taylor coming over from Sacramento State in the FCS, a Stanford team that still lacks identity at quarterback and lacks identity on offense, and is clearly going through a lot of growing pains after losing their longtime head coach in David Shaw. So Stanford certainly not expected to have much going for them in 2023, and arguably could be the worst team in the Pac-12 by the time the season is said and done. So there you go, guys. This Pac-12 season is going to be a lot of fun. These win totals are very, very intriguing. Again, you can kind of draw a line after Oregon State when it comes to the legitimate Pac-12 title contenders. The rest will contend. The rest will be competitive. The rest may pull off a few upsets here and there, but probably won't be contending for that title. Those other 6 will. But this is going to be one heck of a conference to watch. There's so much talent in this conference. Forget about all the off-field issues that the conference is struggling with. Let's just enjoy the season in the Pac-12 right now, because it is going to be very, very, very fun, very unpredictable, and that's exactly what we want when it comes to college football. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, because again, guys, here at the Gridiron Expert, college football never dies, the season never ends, and we're just a few weeks away from giving you game-by-game predictions and our exact win totals for every single one of these teams. You do not want to miss out on that. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.